Josh Barnett, this beast of a man. You guys know him from the MMA world, the wrestling world, his continuous appearances on the Joe Rogan experience. The great thing about Josh is, besides being an absolute savage, his controlled rage is great when he's around me. The thing I love is that I've been friends with this guy for over 2.5 decades, and he's always bringing this knowledge. There's a depth to him that I don't see in a lot of men, and it just he really takes the warrior mentality to a different level, which I freaking love about him. And so this show is going to be about a couple things. We're bringing in a youngster to train, and we're going to take him through this little workout. As we're doing this, we're going to have conversation. And this conversation, I think, pay attention to Josh and his knowledge that he has, not just about the MMA world, about life. It's about all of it and how to make yourself a barbarian in today's world. Let's get this going. Josh Barnett. This is the Mike O'Hearn Show on Generation Iron. I've learned a lot over the 4 decades of health and fitness and being in the trenches with the greatest in the world. And one of those things I've learned a lot more about and how to build better muscle is nutrition and how it has changed over the decades. And that's why I have the Titan meal plan for you guys out there that are confused about nutrition. I'm going to set you straight. Get a hold of me today. The link will be in the comments down below for you guys. Everybody, get over to the Titan meal plan, and I'll see you in the Titan crew where I will fine tune any difficulties that you're having.
This is Shay. It's Pat's second son.
I talked to Pops yesterday.
Told me.
Give me some warnings. Shoot a leg, said from the get-go. And,
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
Having fun hanging with this savage?
I don't know about fun, but he's definitely hanging.
How you know my dad?
How do I know him?
Yeah.
How does he?
He was my training partner, a little bit older than you,
Damn.
for years.
Yeah.
He called me, he's like, I give Mike a call. Who's Mike? Oh, Michael. Her. I walked in here, saw the fucking trophies and such.
Yeah, your dad and me would be fighting in the car, driving down.
No way.
90, yeah. Him, me, and Doug Murphy.
Ah!
Be banging heads, socking each other in the shoulder, trying to hurt each other. But yeah, so today we're here, and this is going to be a fun day for me. So you're down here learning and adding on to the wrestling with one of the greatest in the world, and that's freaking golden that that's in your. Because you say closet, you can go to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I just figured. By the way, I forgot about the Doug Murphy connection too. Another wild one, but
Right.
yeah, I said. I just thinking to myself, well, Shay's down here, and not only the connection through family, like it'd be good to have you guys meet each other, but I have lots of connections to people that are the best in the world at what they do. So when I can put him in front of them for even just a little bit, it's an example of not only transferring the skills from one to the other, getting to the other generations and keeping it alive, but it's also letting him get a glimpse of seeing these people, getting to know them. So I had him train a session with the person with the Guinness Book of World Records for most pins in wrestling. He's pinned more world champions than anyone else, Wade Chalice. I think he still has the record for the amount of pins in the NCAA as well. And so he had a session, Shay and Wade Chalice got to get some time on the mats together. I squat for athletic purposes first, and then we can get strong later, or we can build later.
Yeah.
But the way I want to try to teach you today for me is, and you know this already, it's the connective tissue that's man strength. You know what connective? The ligaments and joints?
Yeah.
And that's why a wrestler at 160 can kick the sheesh out of a 250-pound bodybuilder.
The bodybuilder's going to look like a badass, right?
Yeah.
And if you walk into any gym in the world, they'll go, that guy would kick his ass. And then the 160-pound wrestler 2 minutes later has the bodybuilder all bent sideways and everything. Even though he's physically stronger with weightlifting, the man strength is what sets you apart. And that way, when you grab a hold of somebody, you're breaking them. And that's the kind of ligaments I want to develop on you and the way I'll teach you today.
Yes.
And that way also you can just do it for a lifetime as well, and like your dad or what we're doing, and still be able to do it like in 35, 40 years. Where most people think by 25 or 30 you're done.
Same shit you told me many years ago. Uphill, 2.5 miles an hour. Like, get in this level of cardio that is not going to make your body go into any catabolic state and start trying to pull any muscle off. So you can try and get bigger and lean out. And it's like now everybody's talking about like it's this whole new brand thing. And but when you do it, it gets boring. So having television, if you're gonna watch like shows, Stranger Things and all, whatever, might as well do it on a freaking treadmill.
You ready for this? Ready? All right.
First match.
All right, let's go.
What?
What'd you do? What was the first thing you did?
Drop my stance.
You dropped your stance, right? And you set your ass back, right? You didn't do this.
Yeah.
You did this, right? So do it again. Down. Okay. That's what this should be. That was the first thing, and I always say to these guys, you've got to be an athlete first, and you can't squat up and down. And that's what most people do. And if you're doing a front squat, there's going to be a portion of that goes into play, but we need your hips and hamstrings and those glutes to be so strong. It's not so much the quad. The quad we developed. We want that, right?
Yeah.
Right? Hip toss, all that kind of stuff. Shoot and go right through the dude. And so your ass back is the first goal. So when you're squatting, the first thing you would do is this. This would go back. And then you would go down. And this technically stays like that. And you're here. Open the feet. Open your feet. Knees out. Hands inside. Push your knees out more. Sit here. Chest up. Higher. Arch that lower back.
Open your shoulders.
Come on.
You might need a little wider base to start off with. Just Mike, he's got not a crazy wide base, but it's decently wide, but he's also decently big, right? And some of this, like me, like I have this particular type of impingement in my hips, so I could never squat, but with a wide stance. I can't bring my. If I remember when I was a kid, and Pat's having me do leg press just as an accessory, and like he's like, "Can't you keep your?" I know. Shove my knees get shoved out every single time. And it's hard. I can't really. Also, I have long femur to shin, which also makes a difference in your hip hinge. But make sure you find that sweet spot where you're not shoving your knees out at a weird angle, but where you can have that weight loading over your base, so that when you can come up, you come up into a straight position with everything tracking as mostly straight as possible.
Does that make sense? Now that's the next thing. What you did is you put the bar on your trap, right?
Yep.
I like it between the trap and the rear delt. We got to bring that sheesh up right there. That thing should be a shelf. And so I want this to be your shelf. And the reason why is that's going to allow you to lift that chest up. So you never want, in my opinion, you are squatting and it is sitting on you. But there's a difference between you holding the weight and it crushing you. So right now you got it into a position where it's crushing it. I need you lifting that weight up. Even though it's this, and you always lift lightweight heavy. So let's jump back in one more time before we really fine tune. Before Mona goes and shows us all what's up. Stick your ass back. Don't bend your knees yet. Stick your ass back more. Bend the knees a little bit. Stick your ass back more. Chest up. Drop down. Back up.
Nice.
Walk in. Holy sheesh. Back to us.
You know he's Pat's kid. He's strong as shit for his age. doesn't have the time spent in the technique training yet in terms of his lifts and different things like that. But yeah, he's Pat. He's a Burke.
I like your control when you go down. Because you're athletes, right? Remember how they used to teach athletes? Explode,
Yeah,
move. You're going from almost a dead stop, right? When you first start, there's a moment there where you're just done.
To generate energy.
You got to generate, and that's what I think most strength coaches completely miss, is that it doesn't go from a movement, it goes from that explosion. And so when I squat, I'll take it down and sometimes I'll just hold it there and then I'll flex out of it. Now you'll do a combination because you're just going into this big game. So you'll do times where I'll say flex out of it and then explode out of it. Those are two different things. Flexing it is just like a bodybuilder contraction. Explode is I want that energy to go through the roof.
You also don't really explode very well if you engage, get to a certain point of the lift where you can then disengage and then try to re-engage. As soon as you disengage and you think you're going to explode back out, you don't have any of that foundation underneath you. You got to think springs. Springs have energy by building up. Then they can release. If you let the pressure off and then you have to stack it again, it's not the same thing.
Does that make sense to you? Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. It's the concept of like you were saying with the spring. I'm pushing it down, but it's trying to force its way up the whole time. And so I'm taking it down, and then when I let go, it just explodes. So when you take the bar down, take it down in a controlled range to where you're still gonna, anytime I can go up anytime I hold, explode. That's what I want. I don't want to catch exploded because then that's a torque. That's where everybody tears their chest when they budge, boom. We're gonna get there, but I want to get there with something realistic weight-wise. Now do one more thing. When you go down, stretch through the hamstring. As soon as this starts stretching and you feel tightness, you let your knees drift forward. So try to keep your knees almost at the same position as where you start. So knees bent, butt back, chest up, hands up, bend the knees, stay there for a sec. Now down, stretch, open, back up, go again. Chest up, there. Hold, explode. Go again. Chest, eyes up over. Hold, explode. Okay. Kid.
If all you did was ever squat this is not progressive loading, so you're not gonna get the same effect as what you would do from what we would call a traditional standard strength building program. But there's no way if you just lifted this your entire life, all the time, you're lifting, you will get stronger. So even as you're building through learning the new technique, you're still doing something for your body.
Oh, I feel it working. I like it. Come on. Keep going.
Control that breath.
Go. Couple more. Up. One last one. Stretch. Open the knees. Let the stomach go in between. Stay there. Go. Walk it in.
I'd say I'm going down it for the stretch a lot more.
Right.
Right now, it's
All class. Okay. So let's stay with this let's keep doing some more sets. I want you to try to transfer in the future, not now, maybe in a year or 2 years. I want you to pick where it works. I want you to move the exercise. I want the strength or the explosion to come from the contraction of the glute hamstring, or I want to develop it into the quad. And that's time. That's not from the start. But like right now, your quads are going to always, when you're in the bottom, it always goes back to whatever your strongest muscle is. But we want your weakest muscles to match that and go ahead of it.
The only additional I can say is as you get better with training, and specifically this is one of the, I think from an athletic perspective, most dismissed or never considered aspect of bodybuilding. Bodybuilding, makes a real hyper mind-body connection, mind-muscle connection. So what Mike is saying, you can actually start getting that same form and make your quads do all the work, or you can separate which muscle group you want to go, and you can put them all both together because you've created that connection between yourself and the muscle to such a degree that's how also when bodybuilders are training, they're able to hit those specific body parts and try to create the look out of it, or the most a specific contraction that they want in that part.
When you're in that position, oh boy, because most people, you've seen the guys in the gym, everybody trains the same. I do the bench press, I do the flies, and if I'm doing dumbbells, I'll even cut it short, right? That's what a lot of people do, and I sit there and I watch that, and I try to tell these people out there what he's talking about. It's that minor stuff that you don't think about, and that's why I can still lift today, even though I was lifting with your father 35 years ago, longer. But it was like, it's the little details. You keep working and keep working them, you get in odd positions, and you're still safe.
Yes.
You're not broken.
Well, you don't get strong by always just trying to push everything to the max. Everything has to go in certain waves and cycles. You don't go into wrestling season and then try to do everything, cut all your weight right away and hit the hardest. You build into your best, and then you drop down a little bit. You create these peaks and valleys so that you give yourself a chance to recover as well. And that's why, there are times where I'll have you go walk the hill this morning, go walk the hill, and then next day, nope, put the weight vest on, walk the hill, or something like that. It's because I'm paying attention to what we've been doing, how you're responding to it, and then just how you are, watching you, how you walk, how you're eating at the dinner table, different things like that, and trying to see, okay, did I hear him up late last night or not?
And people won't get this, but your knees are moving this much now. When everybody says, oh, I got bad knees from what? Squatting. Well, it's because they were doing it the other way. Remember how you were bending down straight.
Yeah.
And the knee has to go forward. Now, we will squat like that as well at times. We will put ourselves in the most awkward, weak positions and then try to lift a good amount of weight, but it will never be the power squat. But you still do those other kind of positions. I'm just showing you a proper power squat so we can get that nervous system really fired up. And then we continue to do other styles. And we'll go back to the style you were doing, high bar, closer stance, knees forward.
There's a technique to that too.
Yeah.
Often you'll see people, and when they're trying to go quad dominant or knees over toes, they're having their heels lifted.
Yep.
I've never been good at that, and even if I had to do it in some way, I'd have to have something under my heels. Just wouldn't be able to get there. Otherwise, I'm squatting out this way and then, back and up.
They're all good though. And you especially learning at this age, man, it sets you up to win. Holy shnikes. The goal is to go to college? Right now we're having fun.
Yeah.
Right? That's good, man. That's a good thing. Because I'm going to talk to you about that on how you stayed in the grind to continue. Because it's fun for you.
Yeah. Well, it's
We love this stuff.
I wouldn't have bothered to put myself in this occupation for as long as I have if I didn't like it. Right? It's just too brutal. It's too shitty. It's just too hard on you. Have someone punch you in the face day in and day out if you don't love it. And I tell the same to all these other fighters, don't do it because you think you're going to be famous or make money or anything, because most of the time, most people will not. But you have to decide that you have your journey and you need to walk it, and it's important to you to walk it for the reasons that are important to you.
It's interesting. I think Jeffrey can confirm this. A lot of the stuff he's saying is very similar to the stuff you've probably heard me say.
It's one-to-one.
It's amazing. And we've talked about
the fir trees around us when we grew up.
Man, it's.
You already sweating?
I sweat.
You hit him? You hit him?
Yeah.
So, because I love that it's. We're not going to do this if it's solely for the point of fame and money. If we get that, great, but we'll do it before, after.
Yeah, well, you also need to understand that money is a great tool. Fame can be a tool in and of itself, But well, one, money is just that. It's just a tool. It's just something to be used for a purpose, one way or the other. And fame is built on what other people think about you, not reality.
But we're saying that to a 17-year-old. We're saying that to right here, 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds.
17-year-old
How can you
right
say,
now.
because that's the one, how do we take, you've been famous, you are famous, you've made money, you have money. How do you tell a 14-year-old that hasn't done it, that's not the goal?
And you see all the people that are famous and popular, right, in whatever you're into, and you're like, well, they look like they're having the time of their lives. Well, one, it's supposed to look like they're having the time of their lives. The way everything is done is on purpose to be that way. But also, it's relative, man. Whatever is good for them doesn't mean it's good for you. And as much as I can enjoy being at an Olympia and hanging out and going to the booths and shooting the shit and doing pose-offs with you and goofing off and all that excitement, I like to turn that switch off and get away from it. And like, no, I'm not here to just entertain all the time. I have my own life, my own way, my own privacy, and that's the most important to me.
How's that feel on your back?
Feels fine.
Feels safe?
Yeah.
That's the real, I want it to feel safe, like you could load some weight in that position and you can handle it.
Yeah.
Try this when you're initiating your squat. Try not to lock your knees out, but instead keep them just ever so bent. So you're under that bar, you're getting set, right? And you start getting that ass back. Don't lock your knee out first. Just let that hinge happen at the hip. And get yourself in that position, Mike had that halfway point, and then boom, go into your squat. Mike only had you drop maybe an extra 2 inches because you were almost already on that low bench, which at your height, that's pretty good. So Mike had you drop it just a little lower to watch where your form was, to see what happens. And what it did is made you adjust even a little bit more. You felt it get lower, you're like, oh, this is stranger, I feel a little weaker here. Your chest went up more, your ass went down more, your legs locked in, and then he had you come up.
Probably a lot like you in a position, if somebody's beating you, you change your position, getting in a solid base to turn them over. That same thing, it was beautiful. Natural for you to be in that strong position, yeah? Even though you're a fake natty.
No, that's your job.
How long do you have to rest between your sets and reps? How long do you usually rest? Like what? Yeah.
Probably be 2 minutes ish. I get most of my workouts at school just because usually I have. Right now I'm wrestling, so it'll be weight training is done basically through the school gym, and then it'll be football practice, and then you're out for the day.
So are you training 2 minutes between
It's like
sets?
the way they did it now. It's like a timer almost
Yeah.
because they superset everything.
Okay.
You see where your heel was just on that platform? Good. Put the other one on the other side. Now a little less foot. There you go. Now this is craziness. This is going to, so the other one was working your hips, your hamstrings, your quads, right?
Yeah.
This is working your knees. That's it. So I'll do exercises that purposely develop just those strong joint spots so you can continue to use them. So for this, now you're gonna stay up, squat down, bend the knees. Back up, go again, up, again. Good. Keep going.
Would you normally do these with a barbell or with dumbbells?
Barbell. Yeah. We'll still, it's all relative, but we'll still go up to 315 or 405 like this. See how the pressure's on the knees now?
Yeah.
And so you're making it force and stay strong. That's why you wouldn't use much weight on this. Slow and controlled. The speed doesn't change. Very good. Now just one more thing. Does it hurt the knees? Doesn't, right? Can you see how or feel how that could strengthen them over a period of time?
Yeah.
And again, this isn't a month or 2 months, but like in 5 years, that's the goal. And you just take this up slowly, and you can do this on the same day or on another day. You can come into the gym and work out either way.
Would you, let's say, design a squat program where you've got, of course, your main lift is your primary lift would be your back squat, and then you'd have your accessories, and this would be one of them?
This could be that way, and yes, I would do it that way, but it also depends on, and I wouldn't just do it that way.
Okay.
So yeah, it depend. Like as I'd get ready for guest posing, I would switch over to something like this because it's harder than the regular squats, but it's also, I know that I'm in a deficit, and so for me, I like doing harder things when you're not supposed to. And so I know now I don't have the calories. Now I'm going to put myself in that position and make sure, even though we're getting close to it, it's like, so it'd be the same concept for you. No, not you. You're a heavyweight. Well, no, you still had to get 265.
Well, yeah, I was usually under though. Yeah,
Okay.
but I have to.
But you see what I'm
for
saying?
cutting weight, yeah.
For the 190 guy, he had to get there, but he's coming down from 215. It's like, cool. I'm glad you're strong at 215, but you're fighting at 190. So what's that going to be? That diet in those last couple of days of water and all this. And so I got an enjoyment, and that could just be me being psycho. I got an enjoyment knowing that I could walk on stage, and I'm still as strong as the power
That's a
lifters.
confidence builder, yeah.
Yeah,
And confidence is key.
If you are confused about training, do not worry. That's what the Titan training plan is for. For you guys to subscribe to this plan, you also get the additional coaching from me in the Titan private group. Get in there today, and I cannot wait to start working with you and making your dreams come true. Let's get back to the show.
he's putting the weight on the outside so the TikTokers can see the weight. They're real 45s, guys.
Isn't that ridiculous that you have to prove it now?
Yeah.
Because people will sell you.
It's fake
and
weights.
Yeah, I know. That's insane.
I never got time to go get fake weights and stuff.
Fake weights.
Hold on. You're off. All right. Grab a hold. All right, here we go. Up. Step. Feet up. Knees slightly out. Slow. Take it down slow and controlled. Up. Nice. Give me 8. Good. 2 more. Woo-hoo.
Almost there. Come on.
Yep. 1 more.
1 more.
Get it.
Nice.
Up, walk it in. Good set. All right. Good. Feels good?
Yeah.
Now that's quad. Pumped?
Yeah.
Where else are you feeling?
Just majorly the legs.
Yeah.
Be a little hard.
That's cardiovascular right there. 8 reps. I haven't done 8 reps in 15 years.
How many sets of 2? 7, maybe 9.
What? Why don't you just do them all together? No, you're good.
All right.
What kind of questions you guys have?
I got Shayna Baszler, who's in WWE. I got her up to 163 pounds at 5'7", and was already a pro athlete by using power bodybuilding and a little bit of Mike Menser.
Ooh, I like the mixture.
Nice.
I like that.
Who works on your nutrition? Who's helping you with it?
Dad?
Yeah.
Big bro?
Like I guess no one really.
You
Kind
kind
of me. Eating.
Okay.
I've been telling him a little bit of stuff on nutrition around
That's obviously
about
really
around being your training sessions, right? Like you need carbs okay, by and large, carbs and protein around your training sessions before and after, because the fat will slow down absorption of your nutrients and also protein synthesis, which is great if you're going to say, if you're trying to gain weight, fat and protein before you go to bed, slow digestion all night long, and you're full. And if you're cutting weight, one way to do it is fat and protein, because you won't want to eat more and everything. But there's all these different ways of going to it. Like when my athletes got a cut, like this week for the fight on Saturday at Commerce at UNF, like we get into that week and about, let's say they got a weigh-in on Friday, come Monday, Tuesday, I'm like, cut your carbs. Cut your carbs, because carbs also hold water.
And they'll drop that. And your age, that's the other thing right now. Your age, you're gold.
Yeah, he never
gonna
gets
grow
sore
like this.
It drives me nuts. I'm like, how do you feel? Like, I'm fine. You sore? No. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm sore from thinking of the workout and making you do it.
Yeah, this is the time to incorporate the nutrition just beyond precise, in the sense of every couple of weeks, am I changing? Am I getting better? Am I doing something? What do I need to change to make sure I do get better? Because everything you get at this age, you get to keep for a lifetime. That's
Yeah,
the
that's
coolest
true.
thing about that young age.
Yeah, it
Going
does
through
matter.
the puberty, going through that early teens, you get to keep it all. How big? Because your dad was 250, 260 in
Yeah.
that range when I was training with him. I was 275, 280, and I was that since through puberty. So it's like, you get a hold on to that. So, all right, get one more set in here.
Yeah, Pat, he taught me a lot about my lifting. Like he is one of the most key components to teaching me how to
Was it
train.
Doug Murphy?
No, it was Pat.
Okay.
No, Doug and I, we trained in the gym together, at AMC. But yeah, but then when I met Doug and we talked, and I brought up Jim of Seattle, he's like, okay. And then it's like when I talked to him about the things that Pat would have me, he's like, oh well, okay, yeah, you're already on the path. So I learned a ton, and when it came to lifting from Pat, and even when I was early in the UFC, and we were lifting together at Gold's on Aurora.
Oh yeah.
He was
See, that's Aurora.
he was
Aurora is where Body Power was.
He was strong as shit then. Like,
Yeah.
it was just insane.
Good, good.
Breathe.
If you want, it's kind of a cool thing. Open the knees, open the knees. Good.
Nice.
Open. Good. Go.
One more, come on. Squeeze.
Nice job.
You're doing great.
Emotional support.
You think it doesn't matter? It does.
Squeeze. There you go.
Last one.
Horse runs its fastest with the rider.
Nice.
Nice work.
Bracket. Look at you. I feel like you're really working out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, your breath is super important as you start and finish your lift. You want to fill that big belly full of air, and you want to use that to help keep that core tight. And even if you're thinking about, you can just tell people, like, tighten your abs, they'll end up tightening their low back too. But if you don't tighten that low back, that's where you run the risk of injury as you get higher and higher weight. Because if any part of your body is not as engaged as the rest of it, that's the point at which that injury will happen. That's where that fallout will come apart. You just can't help it.
I
So
don't think they'll realize that at home. There's not a time in the match that you're not there, right? I always remember that, and I try to explain it to these people at home. Why don't I like music when I lift? It's because I like the muffled sound. When you're in a fight, you probably, hasn't been decades because you're so calm, but when I was in fights, it would be a muffled sound outside of that, but my voice in the head was so clear. And it's probably like with wrestling right now. The coaches are screaming, everybody's screaming, there's a lot of noise, but there's that voice in your head that's louder than everything. And I like that voice when I'm lifting. And that's why I don't like the distraction of the music on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, I do like lifting with music, but I'll say this.
You love music.
I do love music, but also I like lifting without it. And push come to shove, if I don't want, or if the music is awful and distracting, no, none. I'd rather no music. And I'll make our guys train in the room with no music. And they're like, oh, you just like, yeah, be here. Be so in this moment that music wouldn't matter anyways. I don't need you paying attention to the music. I need you to pay attention to this guy in front of you.
See, I love that. With him walking to the ring, there had to be those moments in what's going on in your head. I wish people would use that as a metaphor when they step up to real weight. And there seems to be a psych, in weightlifting, and most probably in high school right now, everybody's screaming and yelling around you. It's a lot of outside motivation, which is freaking awesome. But unless the guy in the head, that's doing the lifting is present, and that's not catering, that's not the fuel. If the fuel's coming from him, you're safer, and then you could lift proper. And it's like everybody walking out to the ring with you, if you're not there, you're not in it.
Right. Yeah,
You're the one
nothing
getting in
they
the
can do to
cage.
change it. Yeah. And I've been there in the corner plenty of times, and I go, uh-oh, my athlete's head's not right. Nothing I say is going to make it different at this point.
So just take it serious, regardless of, like, you guys at home, you youngsters, you 12, 13, 14, you're seeing them doing, 105 pounds, 55-pound bar. So it's not a lot of weight, but the way you're doing it is you're making it tough on yourself in that position. And I love that, because that's the stuff that's going to make you a freak of an athlete.
Also,
nobody else is doing
don't
it
worry
that way.
about not being killer at a new thing, a new lift. I mean, your numbers shouldn't be the same doing this lift, period. His numbers aren't the same doing this lift as they are doing a traditional back squat. And it's going to be different from that to a Zercher, and that to a front squat, and every plie squat, whatever,
Any squat that Mona does. And we're all messed up.
Yeah.
So you do a squat with this, or you want 35?
Yeah,
I want him to visually see somebody doing this. So that's the safe position. Then you can see the quads, how flexed they are. And all she's doing is moving down, but you can see the more contraction.
You'll even notice at a certain points, she starts bringing her toes up a little bit because of the drive through the heel.
It's all
Thanks, Josh, for the help there. Appreciate that. Great spot, man. That was really nice. Did you, at this stage, are you glad you had to wrestle up at a younger age?
What was that younger age? When did you start?
Started, what was it? Be, what, 12?
Something like that, yeah. Him and his brother wrestled for a little bit when they were younger, and then they got away from it. He played a lot of baseball for a point, and then you started wrestling again in high school.
Middle school.
Middle school, yeah. So
But
See, I
would say,
like the idea. I like the
anytime-
idea of having the little one ahead and losing. I'm okay with it. I don't care, because it don't matter until you're 20, in a sense.
yeah, look, there was all those kids that are 7 years old that can throw spinning hook kicks. It's like, that's great. If you can do that when you're 18, then we'll care. Right now,
260
it's just for you to do it, to learn the motions, and then carry it through to when you're an actual developed athlete and you can use it. So learning skills and getting flexible and doing stuff is great, but that doesn't make you an ass kicker. It's got a good fundamental.
Now, how does this portray, or how does this coincide with weightlifting? Well, the point is if you can learn the forms and the way to connect during this age, you may be so much more advanced than everybody else, and the others will never get there. Here's the one thing I see in weightlifting that never happens. If somebody in their teenage years or in their 20s never did the mind and muscle connection, and they believe, if I get under here and squat this, I'm going to get big legs. No, it doesn't work that way. You can squat forever, and you could be even a power lifter and get a good squat and still not develop good legs. There has to be the connection. It has to be mind and muscle connection. So for you at your age, you understanding that position, connecting to it, and then utilizing it for best for your sport. The explosions, the odd angles, and all that kind of stuff. You win.
Your first and most
You don't have to
important-
do PRs at 13
Right.
years
Your
old.
first and most important opposition and the thing you should be in competition with the most is yourself, and just developing yourself as much as you can, and finding your way of creating that, and always getting that little 1% to even 5% better every single time.
Going slow, the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise always wins.
Yeah, true.
In life.
The metaphor is that you don't need to rush through it. There's times to be fast, don't get me wrong. There's times where it's like everything comes to a critical point, and what has to happen at a level that has almost no margin for error. That's fine. But getting to that point, you just need to keep working. You just need to keep moving forward. You just need to keep doing what you're doing.
There's no pressure on your back. It's just on your hips. So we could do today, we can see how much strength you have in there. So I still want a strong position. So try to use the belt, sit back, go down. Nope, you went forward. Still go back.
You might have to move your feet forward a little bit too as well. Like find where you feel comfortable in the machine.
Is this sitting on you?
Yeah.
Okay, hit it. Ooh. Josh, good call, Captain. Hit again. Up rack. Good.
You should be.
Oh, it's all the way
It's
out.
coming forward. It's coming forward, and you're coming off your heels. You want to keep that weight through your heel, so it's going up through your structure and through the knee. So move forward a little bit. And when you go to sit, don't sit and let that weight fall into the balls of your foot. Sit and put that weight into your heels. So that when you're coming down,
So lean back.
you're going to come straight up and try to line everything up as much as possible.
I saw that fingertips.
Where do you feel it mostly?
It's like on here.
Quads. Okay.
Stretch on the backside, pump on the inside.
I think less of the stretch.
Less. Well, it's gonna be, everything's less than that. But we still want that feel to stretch on this one. We've both been on our path for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually both I don't know what the term would be. We both, we hit it young.
Yes.
We hit it very young. At the time, if I'm correct, you were the youngest heavyweight UFC fighter to win.
I, at the time, was, until John Jones won his title, I was the youngest UFC champion of all time.
Yeah. And you were how old?
24.
Okay, 24. So, just for you kids at home, and you're still doing this. And what year was that?
2002.
Okay. Battle Dome, right after.
Mm-hmm.
Right after. 21 to almost 22 years later, you're still in coaching. You're still in it. Wouldn't you say you're more in it?
Well,
In a different way?
in a different way, very different way.
Don't you think you're in it? Let me see if I can say this right for the viewers. You're more in it because not only are you a coach, you're in the martial arts, but you're also a iconic figure in the MMA world.
Yes, and manager. I'm in it in far further aspects and further reaching. Right, so it's not just about me being on my journey. Now I ought to be concerned about the journey of all my athletes. I got to pay attention to the landscape of the business itself. I got to negotiate for these guys. I got to think about their career today, tomorrow, next week, and everything further on, and how their development is just simply in the gym itself and from competition to competition.
What's got you still doing it at this level?
Because
you're excited about it.
Well, yeah, I love it. I wanted to become a master at what I do, and I feel like I have done that, yet I could be better still. And I also feel like I've inherited skills, knowledge, and wisdom that it didn't just come from my entrance and time doing this. And it didn't just come from the coaches who taught me, because the coaches that taught those coaches, and the coaches that taught them, and so on and so on. And so there, I see that there's a link that goes down a chain that is very old and very long, and there is a fire that is being passed down from generation to generation. And so I'm trying to keep that alive and put that into everybody that I work with, because though there are many of my coaches have passed, like Fred Sato and Carl Gotch and Billy Robinson and many others, they never die as long as I keep giving what they gave me to others and putting it in the world.
I love that you said that, because I get it, because I've never been able to express it like that, and that was beautifully expressed. But it's like when I sit down with Frank Zane and we talk about it, it's like I'm trying to take that knowledge that he gave, Arnold gives, or Robbie Robinson, or these legends I grew up with magazines, and I try to give it to these kids out here. But you're so well read, and you're like one of the most viewed guys, or not viewed, guests on Joe Rogan. He freaking loves you. But I think the whole MMA world loves you and your approach to this. To me, you're a true aspect of a peaceful warrior. So I love that about you. And you've always been this way. Why is the I don't know, we like to challenge ourselves. We like the opportunity for that battle, but we also like to break the will of the other guy and want to see his eyes go from, I got you, to, I shouldn't have even attempted to go against you. Why do we still have that? We're not 20 anymore.
Well, but because I think it's just a personality trait. You know, it can be developed to a degree, but I mean, I've always said that there are people in fighting that are great sportsmen. They're competitors. They like to compete, but they are not fighters. They're not out there trying to kill you. They're out there trying to win a match. I'm not trying to win. I'm trying to destroy somebody spiritually, physically, and emotionally in every way I can. The greatest victory is when I can see that person would do anything to just be done with it.
And to rethink the whole process that he got there. Don't lock the door behind him. That kind of attitude. I love that. And I don't know why, but I don't seem, and there's times where I go, can I lose that? And it doesn't happen.
Well, you're just so utterly driven. Plus, you have such a, I mean, it always existed to a degree, I'm sure, doing all the different covers and everything, but with social media and the direct interaction and how this is being spread out nowadays, you have more people that want to try and degrade, demote, and knock down you and your accomplishments, because they feel like if they can bring you down, the fact that they're only wherever they're at, they can somehow be elevated. Even though instead of going, well, why don't I just try to do as much of what Mike does and see what comes of it? And then if that doesn't work, maybe then I'll take from that. And then maybe I'll pick up this Menser book and I'll read on what Mike Menser did, and then maybe I'll go back to this, and then perhaps I'll give Arnold's method a bit of a try, or maybe I'll go pick up some more Weeder stuff and work on rest pause and whatever, and like find whatever it is for them to develop themselves and go, well, these guys all found a way to do what they're doing. And also consider the fact that, you know what, not all our genes are not equivalent. No matter what I could have done in life, it is my opinion that I never would have had anywhere near the numbers you had in bodybuilding ever. I would never be able to keep the body composition you do. But that's fine. I'm built my way and in the ways that I excel, and you're built your way in the ways that you excel, and then we develop into those things, and then what we can get out of that work is going to be greater in those areas than our compatriots. But then we also know we've come across people that could have been us or better, but they lacked one or two key components. And it's almost like you could say it was a choice. Maybe it wasn't, I don't know, but they had the genes for it and then some.
Yeah, I think most of the guys I talk to at the very pinnacle of the industries that they're in, it never comes down to the guy with the genetics, the gifts. It comes down to the guy that has the
century-old warrior mentality stuck in him somehow, that he feels that he is on a purpose that's bigger and greater than anybody, will outbeat any guy that had the genetic gifts and the white gloves, mom and dad's money and all that. This doesn't work. The workhorse, that's...
The genes aren't of any use if you're not willing to do the work and then exceed that. Like, because it's an overcoming. If getting stronger with lifting weights is progressive overloading, right? Just like Milos of Crete carrying the calf, and then as it grew into a bull.
That's where I got
right?
the idea.
So if that's the case, then why isn't it the case for you and how you approach your life? Gradually, progressively overloading to find your limits and dialing back and then growing and dialing back and growing and dialing back and growing. I mean, people always make those things about, well, how'd you get into concert promoting? How'd you get into, pick something like, well, one day it fell in my lap and I just did it. I was over my head and I was this, but I made it happen. And, I can look back at all the mistakes I made, but now it's like, yeah, you said it. I was over my head, but I made it happen. Stop being afraid of failing. Fail. Create the safest, most advantageous way to fail over and over and over again. And keep moving forward.
There you go.
See what? Yeah, we'll keep him around. We'll keep him around.
You don't have a choice. Huh? You're stuck with me. You've been a part of this, right, for way too long.
Yeah, we've been in this too long. I think the next time I'll see you is when we take Titan down for a kids class, if you do have kids class. If not, then he's just going to free roll with you.
Yeah, we have kids class at CMMA.
I love it. I think we can all agree. And today we got such a young stud. And again, it was my privilege because I trained with his father well over 35 years ago. He was my training partner. And so now I get to see him and see potential, which is a fancy word for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, but potential means nothing. But what he did was he took advantage of knowing somebody and coming down to up his wrestling skill. And then this transferred to here to maybe I can teach him a little something about weightlifting and so on and so forth, like we already talked about other people he's wrestled with. So for you guys at home, I know we're talking with Josh a lot today, but the point is for you kids to understand potential doesn't mean anything. Your genetics means nothing. And I say that over and over again, that when Titan, my son, grows up, I don't want him to think that he's gifted because of his born genetics or that we have money or any of these things. I want him to put the work in, and that's what this kid's doing. You're killing it. You're from Washington State, you're down in California hanging out with this knucklehead. Probably listen to his rock music all night long, right?
Yes. That's a fact.
But I don't know why. And again, at UFC, 24, winning the heavyweight title. Start young. Because like we said, it was over 35 years ago I trained with your dad. It seems like it was yesterday. And that life has flashed. Take your youth and make something of it and just dig deep and have that kind of warrior mentality in your heart and don't even care.
Training, everything you do doesn't have to be with like a specific end goal, right? It doesn't have to be, I'm going to start lifting weights because then I'm going to become a bodybuilder. I'm like, you don't have to do any of that. Just, training is training. You can train your whole life.
You
for
should.
yourself. You should, yeah.
Hey guys, thank you for hanging out today again. Josh, thank you. Appreciate that. And like we said in the show, I'm going to have Titan start training down there with him and his coaching. Again, take everything that we talked about today and kind of implement some of that warrior mentality into your life and give yourself a little bit more purpose as you move forward. I'm sending you guys all the best. Continue to tell me who you would like to see on the show. That is it. We'll see you next week.